Well, my name is McMills. I was brought in as a guest artist here at Texas Tech University, which is a great honor to be invited to this wonderful school. I am the lighting designer for the production Heathers. You know, I've been a lighting designer by trade for 20 years now or something like that. I originally started, I'm from Chicago, and then I went to school at Millikan University in Central Illinois. And then I went to grad school at Rutgers University in New Jersey and got my MFA in lighting design there. I've been very blessed. My career went straight to Broadway from there. So I was a Broadway associate for almost a decade, and then have always wanted to teach. So I chose to leave Broadway, and you know, I worked for some of the greatest people in the world, so I felt like I had a lot to share. And I went from there out to California, and now I'm the head of lighting design at San Diego State University, where I run their MFA in lighting design, so it's really exciting. I've told the team here, I grew up with this show. I mean, I am this generation that Heathers was a cult classic, you know, by the time I was in high school, and you know, Winona Ryder and I were probably the same age at the time. And so I grew up watching this movie all of the time. I don't know what that says, but it was fun, you know, and like, I think when you're younger, you sort of think it's kind of creepy and goofy and fun, you know, because it's a very dark comedy. But when I reread it now as an adult and listened to the music for the first time, I really sort of explored the darker themes in the sense that it's really sort of a modern Greek tragedy to me. Like, it's really Veronica's rise to power, and you know, it's her own hubris, her own interest in power, and that sort of brings her down, and she gets sucked into this world of this sort of antichrist that is her boyfriend, you know. and you know, I won't tell the whole story, of course, but it's just a really interesting play. The lighting design sort of follows that arc, you know. It's sort of dark and textural and gritty at the beginning, you know, when she's sort of lost, and then becomes very exuberant and heightened as she grows to popularity, and she thinks it's what she wants. She thinks it's the best thing ever, and then sort of descends back into this darker place, and finally sort of settling out to that comfort zone where she feels like, okay, we're going to be humans, we're going to treat each other like humans. And so not only do the lighting angles follow that, they sort of lift her up and bring her down, but also the color scheme is sort of darker into more a colorful realm, and then back into the darker, and then almost like pastels when everything settles out. So it's really based around Veronica's journey and following that character. It's been great to see the students just working really hard to get the show up, and you know, meet all the new people. And you know, Jonathan Marks, the director, and I have had a really good relationship so far, and he and I have, you know, talked on the phone before we got here, and I've been Skyping in to all the production meetings, so it's been really lovely to be here in person and you know, not be a sort of disembodied head in somebody's computer. You know, my poor assistant Casey Mann has been carrying me around throughout these meetings. So it's been really great to spend time with these people one-on-one, you know, and get to know them. Yeah, and Winston, our electrician, has just been fantastic and just making the show happen left and right. And yeah, so it's been a really positive experience so far. I did want to dedicate this, my lighting design in this show to my darling student, Chad Shelton. The night before I got here, or the day before I got here, I found out that he had been killed by a senseless robbery, armed robbery in his apartment. And he was just going to start his dream and live this big internship in Las Vegas, and 3 weeks later, he is now gone. And he just graduated in June, and he was a very dear student. And I'm going to try to do some lighting that's dedicated to Chad. And the themes of this play, I think it's very easy to get lost in the funniness moments or the fun parts. And I think I'd really like this, you know, whoever the audience is that watches this show, to take a moment to think about the gun violence in it and the darker themes that are really prevalent, because it's really touched my life this week specifically. And you know, my students at home are just really grieving for him and his family and his friends. So this really does go out to all of them, and just sort of all of us as a family grieving together. And I want that to be out there, because these themes, you know, I think this musical is so much more important than it's put out there. I think it's sort of this funny teen comedy, but it really has such a good message, and I want people to know that. I'd just like to thank Texas Tech for having me here. You know, I'm so honored to be brought in as a guest artist, and I'm really excited. We're going to have some master classes on the Monday and Tuesday before I leave town, and I'm really honored to get to know the school and get to know the students and just share what I know with them, and they share what they know with me. And you know, it's just been really, like I said, a positive experience, and I'm just grateful to be here. So thank you, Texas Tech. I urge you to come see Heathers October 13th through 16th and October 20th through 23rd.